And good evening, everybody. It's Monday. It is the Sci-Fi and Fantasy Writing Stream. And welcome one and welcome all. It's lovely to see you all again. Is it Friday yet? No, it's Monday. We always do this on Monday. There we go. It's not. I can't give you a Friday. Sorry, that's just impossible. I would be a time traveller, and amongst my many other powers, I do not have the gift of time travel. At least not yet. I'm working on it. As you can see, I have the right pin badge for time travel, but I don't yet have a time travel machine. I'm pretty sure, actually, I would misuse a time travel machine rather badly. I know myself well enough to know that I couldn't be trusted with anything ultra powerful, whether it be whether it's a time machine or a lightsaber or any sci-fi implement or fantasy implement. Actually, I think I would quickly become very, very badly behaved. Can we just change Monday to Friday? That would be nice, wouldn't it? But would that help? Because all the things that you're supposed to get done this week would still not be done. And you'd be at Friday going, hey, it's Friday, but I haven't achieved anything, and everything's now piling up for me to do. And I've got to cram it all into one day. Would that work? I don't think it would be a good idea. I don't think it would be a good idea at all. But never mind. Anyway, it's lovely to see you all. It is Monday. It's the it's the chance for you all to distract me ridiculously, hugely a lot, and see where we go. Actually, think about it. I mean, I would be very badly. I mean, give me a time. What would you do if you had a time machine? I mean, I would love the Red Dwarf quote. I'd go back to a week last Tuesday. I'm pretty sure I would use it as a get-rich-quick scheme. I don't think I could resist the temptation to travel forward to find out a few useful things. I mean, there would definitely be the temptation to do some sort of proper historical stuff. Go back and watch certain historical events and see what actually happened. I think that would definitely be tempting to the kind of higher parts of my my intellect, I suppose. But yeah. The more sordid parts of my intellect will go, yes, I could definitely make a stack load of cash out of this. Lucky Luigi says he would go back and spend his life arguing with Socrates. I would just hit pause if I had to. Now, yes, that's a good point. Yes, because you buy Apple stock back in 1989. Yes, I think that's a good one. Would you actually? Here's a question. Would you go back? Let's take a time machine back to the 80s, right? Ish. Depending on how old you are. I'm 50, as you know. Take a time machine back to 1980 or 1990 or whatever it is that you've decided to do. Would you tell your younger self some sage advice? What would it be? Winning lottery numbers for sure. Yes, Commander O'Connor's thinking the same way around as me, so... you wouldn't need to be that greedy, would you? Just a couple of decent lottery numbers. Not that you're going to arouse any suspicion. A couple of million of a Western currency would probably be okay. You wouldn't need to be like ultra. But would you? Would you be corrupted by the power? Actually, 2 million is not enough. I need 5. Then I need 10. Then in fact I will be the overlord of the entire United Kingdom. Actually, no, I don't think that would be a great job. By elite, go back and meet David Braben and go, I've got this great idea for a video game. You'd be careful not to be too successful at betting investing because that's the problem, isn't it? How much is too much? Go back and kick Hitler in the balls. I would give myself advice because I wouldn't be listening to myself anyway. Well, I think that's possibly true. I'm not sure if some grey-haired dude in a hat turned up to me when I was like 18 and just said, by the way. I'm not sure I would have taken much notice. How would you do it? I mean, you'd have to find where you'd have to know precisely where you were at a particular point in time, which I must admit, I think I would struggle a little bit. Kind of, where was I? I know roughly where I was. I suppose I could probably figure that out. Probably it wouldn't be too difficult to bump into yourself. But what would you say? Do this. What possible? How could you strike up a conversation with yourself without looking extremely peculiar? That would be that'd be quite fun. Tension sheet, yes. Of course, Red Dwarf lampoons this exact problem, doesn't it, with the tension sheet and mucking about with history. Sabrina Mulholland-Jones, yeah. Now, that is the paradox. If you told your younger self something that changed your path in life, you might get run over by someone. Well, you don't know what you would do you? That comes down to the whole thing about paradox, in time travel. And we've talked about this before, does time go kind of linearly on, or can you change it? And if so, is the version of you that's come back to change it unaffected by the event that you've just... and then your brain starts to melt. And many science fiction TV shows have been based on that premise. So I don't know. I think I would probably be tempted just to make some cash and stay out of the way. It would be tempting to give your younger self some advice, though. You could possibly avoid. The problem is, even if I told myself to avoid certain things that I definitely have done wrong in my life, I think I would probably, if I avoided those, I would have made other mistakes. So who knows if the version of me is the best version or not, or whether I'm sort of somewhere on the scale of quantum probabilities between the worst possible Drew there could have ever been and the best possible Drew there could have ever been. I mean, how do I know? Maybe I'm one of the better ones. Maybe I'm one of the worst ones. I don't know. What do you think? Am I a good Drew? Is this incarnation of me as how far up the scale am I? Ah dear. And then you start reverse psychology on yourself. Yeah. I think I would have been very suspicious of me. If that makes sense. So I think me being a 21st century person, obviously, which is where we are at the moment, 21st century, is none of this sci-fi or fantasy tech would be a good idea for me to have. A lightsaber, I would probably quickly injure myself very badly. Assuming, because lightsabers seem to be a bit peculiar. Sometimes they slice through things without any resistance at all, and sometimes they don't. But I'm sort of assuming that a working lightsaber does slice through things without much difficulty. I would have way too much fun, and I'd probably undermine my house or slice open the car door or something. Is this on? That would be extremely dangerous. But wouldn't it be a great DIY tool? I mean, a lightsaber would be awesome as a DIY tool. I mean, I just need to hang in this window frame. There's this painting on the wall, and you just sort of point the lightsaber. There you go. There's a hole. Oh, you got a new door. It would be brilliant, but it'd be extremely. I think that would be extremely dangerous. I wonder if with a lightsaber you've got I'd want a kind of DIY lightsaber, none of this weapon type. With an extendable length, so you could say, right, set my lightsaber to 10 mils. There you go. There's a 10 mil hole, or 15 mils, or 20 centimeters. There we go. That's exactly right. So it'd be an excellent DIY tool. A plasma torch is pretty close. Don't tell me that these things are real. That's very, very bad. May I post a link to a crazy person you know? You may indeed. Yes, please do. Alan says, I don't ever remember meeting an older person who looked like me giving sage advice. No, I haven't bumped into anyone like that either. So, which reminds me of it was Professor Stephen Hawking, wasn't he? I think we talked about him a little while back about how he hosted a party for time travellers, didn't he? But he didn't send the invitations out until after the event, which I thought was a very cunning ploy. And as a result, nobody turned up. So he felt, well, of course he's dead now, but he felt comfortable that there weren't any time travellers, or if there were time travellers, they had some sort of strict non-interference directive with the past. So I don't know. Doctor Who. A sonic screwdriver. That's almost an episode of its own, isn't it? Because that can do anything. It can unlock things. It can read things. It can stop things. It can open things. It can lock things. It can befuddle things. It can zap. I don't know. What does a sonic screwdriver? It's sonic. Okay, so that's sort of audible to my head, and it's a screwdriver. So to my quite how sound can unscrew things, I don't know, but anyway, and it's got a remarkable user interface, the sonic screwdriver, because you can point it at something, look at it, and whatever instrument it has, which appears just normally to be about 2 or 3 LEDs, it can tell you vast quantities of information. So it's an extremely clever gadget. And maybe you can only time travel after you die. Well, I don't suggest any of us test that. Or time travel after the... Well, somebody speculated that you could only time travel back to the point where time travel is invented. So maybe time travel hasn't been invented yet. By anybody anywhere. I don't know. I mean, who's to say? And we've discussed that holodecks, that's the other technological thing, that would be extremely bad news. If genuine holodecks ever get invented, I think that's the end of humanity. I think that would be the Holocaust kind of, it's going to, it would never ever come out. Everyone would go in there and die. So all that high-tech stuff. And magic, I mean, if I had access to magic, like, I don't know, Gandalf or Harry Potter or something like that, or Dumbledore, or any of those kind of important wizardy types, no, the temptation to misuse that would be extraordinarily high. Or even things like superpowers, like in the event. I mean, I don't know whether it's me being extremely childish, but if I had the ability to sort of use the force or magic things, I would be tripping people up in the street and, tapping them on the shoulder as I walk past, using the force. Maybe I should write a book about this, because the misuse of magical powers. I think it would be quite good. So all of those sorts of things, I think I would be extremely irresponsible. It would be a very, very, very bad world for everybody else if I was given magical powers of any kind. I think that would be appalling. Can't travel time before the year that H.G. Wells wrote the Time Machine. So 1890. Okay, so maybe that's the other, or maybe 1986. When was Back to the Future? Was that 85? Yeah, it was 85, wasn't it? Traffic was. Yeah, actually, see, that's the problem with magical powers or anything like that, or force powers. I think anybody who wound me up would be in danger of being zapped out of existence. I think I would quickly become a tyrant. A tyrant who chuckles a lot, but still a tyrant. No, you've annoyed me today. Oh, I got rid of. Oh, sorry. I think absolutely, that phrase "absolute power corrupts absolutely." I think for me it would be a very, very quick slide into the deepest, darkest place. It would quickly become very tyrannical indeed. Anyway, thank you for the follow. Diaps Smell, excellent name. One thing I've not been very good at in my entire existence online is coming up with a username. I'm just me, whereas everybody else has got awesome names and stuff. That's one thing I'm not very creative at, but anyway, there we go. How to be an evil W by Drew Wager. Yes, getting back to talking about. So I don't know. Honestly, on that particular subject, I think that I would be very, very bad with time travel, magical powers, or anything like that. Darth Wager. I would quickly become, exactly right, Darth Wager. It's very good for our world that went back in time and took away Drew's time machine so he could not get back in time. Dear. Anyway, that's not the topic. It's not quite the topic of this evening. It's sort of connected, really, isn't it? Because there's the topic of today for science fiction and fantasy fans is, why are bad guys so dumb? And and not all bad guys, but an awful lot of them are very, very, very stupid. Okay, and Darth Wager is the topic of the day. Yeah, so I would be corrupted by the power just because I'm a bit mischievous. So I'd go around just causing mayhem. So I'd be a bit like I don't know, a sort of fairy spirit, I suppose, just going around causing mayhem just for the sake of it, just because I found it amusing. And stormtroopers who can't shoot, yeah. So they're sort of, but they're not the head honcho. I'm kind of thinking of the head honcho baddies. So, so I mean, but plot contrivances for the bad guys, so that the good guys can always get away. I mean, okay, we quite often take the mickey out of Star Wars, and Star Wars actually, its main baddie obviously is Darth Vader, as we know, at least the original trilogy of trilogies and the middle trilogy I'm talking about at the moment. But he's got a bit of a backstory. At least he's bad because some bad stuff happened to him in the past. Even that when we discovered that the prequel trilogy wasn't brilliant, but at least he had some bad stuff happen to him, so he's evil, whatever evil means. And then as a result of that, and there's in the Star Wars universe, obviously, there's the good side of the Force and the bad side, the evil, the dark side of the Force, and that has an impact on you as an individual. If you follow that side of the Force, it changes your personality a bit. So at least there's a rationale for being evil. But in the original film, A New Hope, there's lots of places where the baddies are very, very stupid. Or at least apparently very, very stupid. One that particularly jumps to mind is when they rescue Princess Leia from the prison cell and they shoot the hole in the side of the corridor to jump into the garbage compactor. None of the Imperials think, I wonder where they went. They don't come. There's a good 5 minutes when they're in the garbage compactor waiting to be squashed, and the funny thing comes up, looks around, and grabs Luke and all that sort of stuff. And there's even as an 8-year-old kid, I was thinking, why aren't the stormtroopers peering down the hole that they've just slid down, or at least standing at the hole, maybe getting their guns and shooting? It's like, what are they doing? And it seemed extremely easy to wander around the Death Star without getting caught. Now, maybe, according to the fan theories, maybe Darth Vader wanted to let them go so he could find the rebel base by sticking a tracking device on the Millennium Falcon, so the Millennium Falcon leads them to thing. And that's the goodies being done then, because Princess Leia should have known that. It's like, well, we're leading them straight. And she has that conversation with Han Solo, doesn't she? We're leading them straight to the rebel base. Not this ship, sister. It's like. Because it would make sense, Drew. I know this is the problem. Can you have? So this is a question in science fiction and fantasy. Can you have a bad guy who actually makes sensible decisions? So Darth Vader's kind of taking a massive. They even allude to it in the plot, which I do quite like in Star Wars, because Governor Tarkin says, "I'm taking an awful risk, Lord Vader. This had better work," which actually, it sounds a bit twee, that line of dialogue, but it's actually right. He's taking a massive risk. Because actually they've known about where the Death Star plans are all the time. They know it's in an R2 unit, and the R2 unit's been allowed to wander around the Death Star, no problem at all. Nobody's been batted an eyelid about the R2 unit until they let it get back on the ship and go off to find it. Anyway, so it's all that sort of stuff. They always have a weak spot that's really, really obvious. Yeah, so this is a recurring thing. Go back to classic fantasy. So Lord of the Rings. Sauron. Sauron is, again, has a backstory, because Tolkien was reasonably good at this, but absolutely fundamental stupid error. Okay. Like, I shall imbue all my life force into a single inanimate object, which, I've lost it. And if somebody finds it and destroys it, it's the end of me. That's like, so if I do become an evil overlord or a bad, if I do become the great Darth Vader, I will not pour all my essence into a single device, the USB stick of doom. I will not do that. Goldfinger. There we go. Goldfinger. Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. Yes, that was a good line. Okay, you expect me to talk? I'm not going to talk. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die, which is an excellent line. But the problem is he shouldn't walk away. He should enjoy the death of Bond. Let's leave the good guy unattended, because maybe he's got some special Q gadget that'll let him get out of jail. Bad guys always make fundamental mistakes, and there are a lot of fundamental mistakes that the bad guys make. So that's a classic one. Quipping, okay. Quipping at the wrong time is always a bad thing. The other classic one is explaining the plot. So how often? Yeah, so actually, Vic Freeze, you good point. At least Voldemort there was sensible to make 7 pieces, so it's going to be pretty tough to defeat Voldemort. That's actually reasonable. Okay, and you were Kelly Bagner's talking about in the realm of Lords of Midnight, which of course is dare we say it, Kelly Bagner is a bit of a pastiche rip-off of Lord of the Rings. If we're cruel, is yet another magical talisman that if you destroy it, that's the end. The bad guy has had it. Don't do that, okay? So if you're going to be a bad guy, don't pour your entire essence into a thing that you might lose, and the good guy, or good girl, depending on the story, picks up and goes, aha, I have the secret to your power. Commander Terraforce is quoting me there. Tolkien was reasonably good at backstory. By Dru-ids, I know. Who am I to critique these great legends of the realm? Maybe Goldfinger had a weak stomach. I mean, if you're going to set up a cutting laser beam that slices things in half, and you want to put the good guy on it, slice him in half, any self-respecting bad guy's got to have the stomach for that sort of thing, surely. So if so here's another lesson: if you're the bad guy and you've got the good guy or good girl or whatever it is, and they're in your, I mean, to be honest. Don't muck about with slowly cutting lasers or spinning discs or chainsaw or whatever it is. Just shoot them, right? just stop. Just kill them. Why wouldn't you just kill them? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. Bang! Now, I know there's a problem with the story, but there we go, two flicks to say, just shoot them. Why would you keep them alive? You're killing them anyway. Why prolong it? And why walk off? Just in case. And, so there we go. So just shoot them, okay? So we've learned a few things. Don't pour your essence, okay? Don't pour your essence into inanimate objects. That doesn't work, all right? That definitely doesn't work, all right? Don't, if you capture the good guy, stroke good girl, kill them, all right? If you get the chance, don't muck about with dialogue. Don't muck about with really, really complicated, convoluted ways of killing them. Put them over a boiling pit of lava with a rope that's slowly burning away, or a cog-driven time machine. Don't tie them to a railway track and then wait for the train to come across, because you're just giving them a chance to escape. All right, just shoot them. Okay, so there you go. So if you're going to be a proper evil level, just kill the baddie. Okay, just kill the goodie. That's the way to do it. Same with horror movie characters. Yeah, and while we're on that, why? So my son and I really just laugh every time this happens in the film that we watch now. When the good guys are exploring whatever they're exploring, okay, there's always a point at which they say, "Let's split up." Why? Are you in a hurry? I mean, sometimes they're in a hurry, okay? And I kind of get split up to cover more ground. Like that is the only explanation I can think of for splitting up, is you're in a desperate rush and you've got to cover as many bases as possible. So you're willing to take the risk that there's something unpleasant lurking in whatever it is that you're in, and you're up against the clock. Maybe you've got a few minutes left, so that is worth splitting up in that scenario. But why would you split up in any other circumstance? There's no point. You're far better as a group, because then you're least likely to be surprised. And if you do encounter something nasty, there's however many there are of you in a group to defeat the thing. Your combined firepower and expertise is going to be far better than a single person on the own. But no, let's split up. It's like, no. Splitting up gives you a chance to get away from the dumb people. Well, yeah, that's true. And actually, yeah, well, and the only explanation that really works is that one person in the party knows that everybody else is cannon fodder for whatever the bad thing is that's stalking them. So I don't know. I watched the film Reanimator, in which a substance brings people back to life, but they're totally psycho afterwards. So that's the thing as a grenade. Well, I suppose that's the thing as a grenade. Well, yes, I suppose, yes, that's a good point. Okay, so if you're dealing with a thing that can, obliterate a reasonably sized area of space, then by grenade or other means, then yes, I suppose that makes sense. But the other thing. The other thing that bad guys never get right is the troublesome relation. Okay, so the bad guys have usually got some old friend or mentor, or they've got a nephew or a forgotten son or a missing uncle or an ancient grandfather or something. Okay, that basically appeals to the good in them. At some point in the story, so so Star Wars is classic. I am your father, and all that sort of business. There's still good in him, and all this kind of stuff. So maybe he's not actually a baddie after all. So that's the thing. Well, yes, and that's exactly right, Kamakishi. So kill everybody apart from the one guy who's going to come back and. So the problem is with family members is if you're going to be a bad guy, you can't have a soft spot for family members, okay? Just because was it from what's that film? Spaceballs. Just because you're my brother's uncle's cousin's brother's former roommate, what does that make us? Nothing. Just even if they're family members, I'm sorry, if you're a bad guy, you've got to kill them. It doesn't make any difference at all. All right. So I mean we're being very cool, but the number of times that the bad guy has some sort of redemption arc because of some erstwhile family member who appeals to their better nature. No. If you're going to be a proper evil Dark Lord, family means nothing. Okay, the only thing that should matter to the evil Dark Lord is being an evil Dark Lord and acquiring whatever power or prestige or nefarious plan that they want to. I mean, most of them are usually content with taking over a something. Some of them apparently just want to wreak devastation for no obviously good reason. It seems like an awful lot of trouble. But some of them want to dominate and have power over things, which sort of makes sense. Some of them want to get rich. Some of them unfortunately fall for the "I must marry the most beautiful woman in the universe" problem, or beautiful man, depending on which way around it is. There's quite a few evil baddies who have been seduced by I must marry the princess, or that man, I must have him because he will complete me, all those classic things. Okay, so be very, very careful of the attractive good protagonist. If you're an evil dude or an evil woman, and you're on your quest for power, be very, very wary of the attractive protagonist in the story, because you just never know when love's going to strike. Okay, and that could completely ruin your evil overlord plans. That's why evil characters are best played by machines like Hal. Now, Hal is a great baddie character because he's not actually bad, and we'll probably get onto that later. But that's actually the best thing about properly bad characters is actually they think they're okay, and their motivations make sense from that perspective. So that's skipping to the end of my rant, but there's a good guy. And Terminator, he's just carrying out his programming. Okay, I quite like the Borg from Star Trek as well. They don't care what you think. Resistance is futile. We'll adapt your culture to service us. That's a brilliant new type of bad guy because they don't have a concept of good and evil at all. We're just trying to accomplish a task, and you're in the way. Now you may think we're evil, but we don't care. But you're so bad, and you can sort of see the Borg are kind of like the technological equivalent of whatever. So I like that. Somebody, I think the Borg and things like that are an excellent enemy. Or they're a faceless enemy, like the aliens in Alien. It's just trying to stay alive and reproduce. That's all it's really trying to do. But it does that at the expense of everything else around it in a nasty, gory, kind of horrible way, which isn't evil. It's just survival. So isn't the true evil Dark Lord the epitome of badly written characters? I think it depends what you're trying to write. You see, the tension, going slightly serious for a moment, the tension is the problem with creatures like the Borg is you can sort of respect them, and but they're overwhelmingly indifferent, and that's very cold and callous. And I think in a science fiction context, they're quite refreshing like that. But you can't really warm to the Borg. And it's interesting to note that the Star Trek writers over time basically individualized the Borg. There was Seven of Nine. There was Hugh, wasn't there? And then there was a Borg Queen, which kind of almost undid the Borg as a just a collective. They suddenly they weren't a collective anymore. They had individuality coming back, and you were able then to associate with the characters. So I think there's a tension between making a bad guy, bad person, bad woman, whatever it happens to be, and someone who you can kind of feel compassion. Because if they're intrinsically bad and competent, okay, they're just going to win, aren't they? Because the good guys just make so many stupid mistakes. So yes, the book can be that way because of the nature, but human, yeah. So predators are just game hunters, aren't they? Just enjoying sport. You know, we're just a lower life form as far as they're concerned, which is a clever way of looking at it, because we do exactly the same thing to creatures on this planet, and we've hundreds of years called that hunting and sport. I don't think we probably so much subscribe to that nowadays, but when the tables are turned and the predator is hunting us and we're the weaker creature with less technology, then suddenly it's evil and bad. It's like, well, we've been doing that to deer and bears and wolves for hundreds of years. Are we evil? Or maybe we are. Well, are we the bad guys? All that sort of question. Bad guys have got to be pretty ruthless to be. Otherwise, they're gonna make mistakes. The other classic one, the classic one that makes me laugh, is the goodie always gets the so. You've got me. I know I'm going to die, so why not tell me the plan before I go? And the bad guy usually goes, all right then, this is what I'm going to do now that you're in my club. I'm going to use my death ray to destroy your planet, and then and the good guy's going, yeah, keep telling me. And now I'm going to kill you. But now I've got my secret plan to get out. And now I know your plan. I can foil it. And the bad guy goes, darn, I shouldn't have told him my plan. Don't tell him your plan, all right? If you're the bad guy, if the good guy in your clutches, and for some reason you haven't shot him yet, if the good guy's in your clutches and you haven't shot him yet, don't explain the plan. Just look at him and go, no. Okay, don't explain the why. What is the benefit to you as the bad guy explaining the plan to someone who's about to die? Okay, it's just vanity. You can't afford to be a vain person if you're the evil bad guy trying to take over the universe. Okay, is there a bad guy's scale? Right? How bad are you? Yeah, I suppose we should make a badometer, shouldn't we? And so put characters in. Now Thanos, okay, Thanos is a good screen bad guy, yes, because Thanos actually, I mean, his motivation is sort of written. He's trying to save the universe from excess consumption, isn't it? There's too many people in it, so I'm going to arbitrarily, because I can, yes. I'm going to spoil this here for anybody who hasn't seen the whole Avengers series. I'm hoping most of you have. 50% of the entire universe's population, poof, I'm going to just make them disappear using the magic of the stones of thingamajigs, whatever they're called. Wait a minute, says Duplex. Let me fetch my note. What was that again? and Thanos is basically, he's determined the universe has got too many people in it. And 50% of the people need to be removed, and he's impartial. Whoever you are doesn't matter. It's just a random 50% of people, boom, gone. And that's his solution to overpopulation in the universe, which is a slightly curious concept because there's quite a lot of space in the universe. Let's be honest. As bad guys go, he's got a good motivation. He's saving the universe from overconsumption. There's probably part of us that goes, actually, maybe he's right. Maybe he's the good guy, and everybody else who's trying to stop him is the bad. I don't know. That makes you think, which I think is a good bad guy, if I can use that phrase. What do we measure evil in, and what is evil anyway? So that's quite difficult. So I quite like Thanos. That was quite good. But don't explain the plan. Okay, don't explain the plan. That's a mistake. And now, if you are a slightly weaker evil overlord, okay, if you're a slightly weaker overlord, and you do fall for the heroine or the hero on the protagonist side, okay, The other big class, if you really, really, really must marry or otherwise have a relationship with the protagonist as the evil overlord, because maybe it's a badge of honor. I got the princess after all. Maybe there's a sort of badge of honor in there. Okay, don't have a lavish ceremony, okay, where you've invited the entire kingdom or the entire population universe or whatever it happens to be, right? Don't do that, okay? If you need to marry the princess or the hero, just have a small ceremony at the local registry office, all right? Don't publicize it. Don't do anything like that. Just get the legalities, conducted nice and simply, formally, and then announce it afterwards. Okay, then she or he can't get out of it because you're married, and nobody else knows. The hero can't swing in and do some dramatic speech and rescue the princess. You don't need that sort of publicity as an evil person. Okay, so there you go. Another top tip. Have you seen Deadpool, Lampoon's Most? Yeah, so I haven't got through Deadpool actually. I need to go out there. The only problem with Thanos, there are so many other ways to solve this problem than eliminating half living things. You could just snap your fingers. Well, that's the thing, is you could just make more stuff, surely. So Thanos is a slightly curious, an interesting solution to the problem. That's right. Yeah. So there we go. Star Trek. I mean, Star Trek does that wrong. A lot of times, and then the warden confides the plans just before he thinks. So if. The whole too many stories reside on the so you're about to die, then I shall reveal the plan. Don't do that. Okay. Douglas Adams can write an evil person have the competitors reading their poetry. Well, exactly. Well, the Vogons. Well, they're described as not actually evil, just bureaucratic, aren't they? I think, or something like that in the books. Not actually evil, just excessively bureaucratic. I think it's something like that. Really excessive bureaucracy is probably as close to evil as most of us will come. Vogons are excellent. No, that's right. The motto of an evil overlord should be simply: don't put off tomorrow what you can do right now. That's right. Don't procrastinate. Okay. That's right. Shall I wipe out the enemy base? Yeah, if you've got the ability to wipe out the enemy base, just wipe it out, okay? Why does God need a space? Yeah, all those sort of things, okay? Now, the other top tip, if you've got, because all evil overlords need to have an evil overlord base, right? They need to have, I don't know, some great big, I mean, again, there you go with Sauron, the Dark Lord. He's got a massive tower, all right? Which his presence, his eye, is sort of at the top of, which looks, I suppose, arguably quite impenetrable. But big towers are probably, I don't know, they're probably quite hard to make, aren't they? I don't know how you make a great tower like that. The key thing is, don't have secret passages or cooling vents or ducts in your evil lair, if you could avoid it. So your evil lair needs to be planned very, very carefully. So you can't have small children or animals or critters that can climb through the air vents or the secret passages and knock out important parts of the infrastructure. Okay, you need to, if there were going to be air vents, what you need to do is you need to have really, really, really strong grills every, 50 yards or something, okay, to stop people climbing through the air vents. It's very important. You're not dealing with just an ordinary building here. You're dealing with an evil lair, okay? So all the air vents should either have chompers in them or just mesh grills that almost impossible to get through unless you brought proper cutting tools. Now, it's not going to stop lightsabers, I suppose, but it's going to slow them down or just make them too small for adults to crawl through. And things like so. Think of your air vent design. Okay, so that's very important when you're looking over the plans for your evil lair. You've got to put yourself in the mind. You've got to put yourself in the mindset of the goodie. It's like, we'll just climb through the air vents and get into the next room. So prison cells don't need air vents. All right, prison cells don't need air vents. There's enough ventilation. Just have a grill on the main front door. All right. One entrance, one exit. No emergency. Yes, that's right. So no emergency exits. Why would you need an emergency exit? Okay, you don't need ventilation shafts running across important rooms. All right. Lots and air duct. Yeah, see, a lot of air ducts are very flimsy. That's a bad design. Okay, if you're doing a evil lair, air vents need to be given proper consideration. Okay. Make sure you get rid of the. Well, that's right. And yes, I mean, let's be frank. If there's an architect, if you've subcontracted, okay, your base design, your evil lair design to somebody, either he has to be a trusted person who you trust implicitly, or you have to kill him after the event. Now, you need to be careful of who you employ and what you do to people, otherwise your reputation is going to go around. So you need to kind of plan that quite well. But don't leave any kind of the plans. And don't hack off the architect before you start. All right. You need to double check. Maybe get some other people to double check the designs when they're in the planning stages and in the execution stages, because otherwise you end up with things like the Death Star, where there's a built-in flaw deliberately put in by the chief architect so that it can be destroyed at a much later date. Okay, you need to have a bunch of nerds on your team who can basically spot who can basically spot, there we are, trivial design flaws or major design flaws in your design. Go, yes, but the goodies, all they need to do to take this out is do that. And you'll go, aha, okay, I need to fix that. Okay, so project managers, the real make the architect part of the building. Dark but good, I like that, yes. Do note to get the architect that likes to make big set pieces in the on-site. This is also a self-destruct button. Now we'll get on to self-destruct buttons in a minute. Self-destruct. I mean, why? I mean, let's go there. Let's go. Why do you need a self-destruct button in the first place? Okay, because in order to have a self-destruct button in your baddie lair, that means you've got to stash, I assume, a load of explosive material all around your lair. Now, why would you do that? Because there is a danger that it might go off accidentally or gets damaged or just there's an accident, okay? It's not a good idea to have I can't understand why anything would have a self-destruct device, right? What is the point of a self-destruct? Other than maybe in... now, it sort of comes, I think the self-destruct mechanism sort of comes from World War II warfare, where if you didn't want the enemy to capture your base, you could sort of blow it up and put it beyond economic use. That sort of makes sense. And in large ships, you would scuttle the ship so it would sink and therefore be useless to the enemy. But when you're talking about an evil lair, I'm not sure the wisdom of having a self-destruct device. Check references and working. Okay. Well, yeah, that's right. So you've got to you want some references. Have you built an evil lair before? And whose evil lair did you destruct? I was one of the architects on the Death Star. Nope. Okay. So and Egypt, yes, good job building this tomb. Now get in. That's pretty dark as well. Yeah, so and the bat lair. Okay, well that's an interesting design. It looks pretty complicated. So, and of course, never let be. Yes, okay. So you need. Okay, this goes on to the subject of guards. All right. Okay, this goes on to the subject of guards. If you're going to hire guards, okay, make sure they can guard things. And they kind of recognise, you want some... What you want, actually, is nightclub bouncers. They would make good guards. They don't let people in who generally are allowed in. So actually, nightclub bouncers would be an excellent set. So what you want to do is find a really, really good nightclub bouncer and clone him, okay? Yeah. Otherwise, the guards are just there to be... and they fall for the old... They fall for so many ruses, the guards, don't they? There we go. Rockets have self-destruct devices. Yeah, I suppose that rockets do. Yeah, I'm just thinking if you've primed your base so that you can blow it up by the press of one button, the chances of that going wrong at some stage or somebody accidentally pressing the button, if not high, are certainly a risk that I would be concerned about on sort of risk analysis. So, yeah. Okay, the guards at the door. Okay, the old, what's that over there? Routine. Get past. And or the guards don't know how to fight, or the guards fall for the the old washerwoman routine, or any of those kind of things, and one thing you must drill into your guards at all times, okay, is look up. Look up. Look up and look down. The world is a three-dimensional place, okay? Look up and look down. Now, if the cell where you put the good guy or the good lady or whoever she is, the hero or the heroine of the story, suddenly appears to be empty, don't, on any account, open the gate to the cell and walk in. Just leave it closed. There's no advantage. If they've escaped, they're not in there, are they? If they haven't escaped, they can't get out. Why, in the history of all of these movies, is if you see the cell unoccupied, quick, unlock the door, open it up, where are they? Let's run in. They don't appear to be here. It's like, there's no logic in that. That's right. All guards must have 1 hour a week on the shooting range, absolutely, to make sure they can actually hit stuff. Okay, that's very important as well. Clang, it must have been the wind. Hark, what is? Yeah, I must go and investigate the rock that appears to have been flung at that tree, and they've gone. So, fuse on the. So guards need training, okay? So as an evil dark lord of the evil lair, or whatever it happens to be, make sure your guards go through a rigorous training program to make sure they know how to handle all the classic scenarios. So the bearded washerwoman, the pretty distracting girl. Okay, it should be a dead alert, red alert situation. If there's an attractive girl comes up and starts flirting with you, that's very unusual. That shouldn't happen. That's definitely a red light. The amusing sidekick animal, always be suspicious. They should be shot straight away. Actually, I know they like to have a bit of screen time. Isn't it nice to see a cute animal doing a thing? But as an evil overlord, those should be definitely some of the number one targets to hit. Okay, because it means you're evil, which is excellent. You're up there with the evilness, and those creatures are brilliant at sneaking past things, pressing buttons, stealing the key, stealing the access card, just generally causing mayhem to your plans. Okay, so if you see a cute little creature that at some point maybe has been on somebody's shoulder, shoot that as well. That's right. So yes, they should teach them basic logic. Okay, don't investigate the rock. Investigate the direction the rock came from. Yes, exactly right. So cute squirrels, small rodents, monkeys, little little amphibians, anything like that. Just shoot them. Okay, they need to be destroyed. Because they are not what they seem. Okay. CCTV systems. That's right. Yeah. Let's put them on a loop or spray them with paint. Would that work in real? I don't think that would work in. I haven't actually tried that. So yes, if your CCTV system at all starts to glitch, okay, that should be an instant. Right. Snap down the security, close all the blast doors, and lock everything down. Okay. And every single time the CCTV system goes down, you see the guard on duty peer at the screen with well, that's a bit strange. I wonder what's wrong with the CCTV system. I wonder if I should do anything about it. Oh, look, another one of the screens has gone down now. I wonder if that means anything. 2 CCTV screens down in 5 minutes. That is that unusual? Yeah. What are we supposed to do if the CCTV? I mean, we watch the CCTV all the time, but are we supposed to do something if something unusual happens? Oh, we've been shot. That's no good at all. Okay. So parrots are. Maybe parrots can be allowed to be excluded from this. Now, if we make exclusions, then the goodies will cotton onto it. Okay, so we can't do that. That's why Mad Monk's on. If your car breaks down and it's a dark and stormy night with lightning flashing and there's a house invitingly on the top of the hill, don't go to that house, okay? Don't go to that house. Just phone the RAC or the A or whoever you're with and wait in the car, okay? Until daylight, and then everything will probably be okay. Might be a bit cold and inconvenient, but don't go up to the house, all right? Don't do that. That never works out well. CCTV so everyone knows. No, and you mustn't. Okay, so here's another rule. Okay, is you mustn't. You need to find guards who are callous and indifferent and emotionless. Okay, so what you mustn't do is there mustn't be any risk of any of your guards developing sympathy for any of the people that they're guarding. Okay. So the trick is, if you capture people who you need some information from, okay, don't mistreat them. Yes, lock them up obviously, but put them in 5-star accommodation. Don't mistreat them. Give them TV, give them nice food. Don't give anybody a reason to be sympathetic to them. Okay. Because if you imprison them in manacles and you mistreat them, then the guards are going to go, oh, those poor prisoners. Hey, maybe I need to change my evil ways and reconsider things, and maybe I tell you what, I'll let them out because I feel sorry for them. No, don't make sure your guards don't feel sorry for any of their protagonists. That's very important. Exactly, Stockholm syndrome. You don't want any of that. So that's bad. Okay. Now the other thing, okay, if you have the goodie at gunpoint or laser point or lightsaber point, whatever it happens to be, okay, and they step away dramatically, and maybe you've even shot them, okay, and they fall over, and they fall down some terrible drop, okay, and disappear into a cloud of mist. And you go, I have achieved victory. I have defeated the evil. I have defeated the good guy. Yes, now my plans are complete. Go down to the bottom of the cliff and check they're the dead, all right? Because good guys have a nasty habit of managing to grasp some outstretched branch or land on something soft or get spirited away by some really annoying flying creature or something like that, okay? If they fall off and you don't see them die, go and find them and kill them. Okay? Very important this, because you can't make any assumptions as an evil bad guy. It's important that you actually make 100% sure that they're dead. Okay, don't assume that they're going to die just because you made some amazing crushing laser crunching thing, or that you saw them fall off a cliff. There's no way they could have survived that fall, because the good guy will always find a way to survive the impossible drop. Okay, or you push them out of the airplane, go right, that's done. They'll have some secret parachute, or there'll be another plane that you didn't see that somehow swoops and picks them up. Don't assume they're dead unless you actually killed them. All right. Yeah, barring reincarnation, anything like that. You've got to make sure they're dead. Don't fall for that one. All right. You've got to. If they've got plot armor, you've got to take a really good shot at them. Okay, and really pulverize them. I mean, make sure you're doing the job properly, basically. Okay. Plot armor. Yes, you've got to defeat the plot armor. So Sherlock Holmes came back from the apparently fatal. Well, there you go. You see. No, got to make sure. Okay. Now the other classic mistake. Okay. Is the good guy or girl, whoever it happens to be, will usually ask for, see this loads of times, is the last request. Okay, I just need to have one more cigarette. This is quite closely tied to the explain the plan then thing. Last request. They're stalling for time. Okay, they are stalling for time. Because their sidekick, which could be the fluffy animal or the plucky comic relief or the heroine or somebody else, one of the other protagonists is up to something, because you've got the hero heroine at point blank range. They are stalling for time because somebody else is putting a plan into action. Don't give them the last request. All right, just say no and shoot them. I know I'm being a bit brutal here, but just don't go for the last request. All right. Panics. I've got to go back to Tao saying in that guy. Then yes, that's right. Perfect evil and work alone. No one. Yeah. So I mean, there's definitely something to be said for working alone if you've got the time and the resources. Okay, because you don't have to trust anybody. It's very difficult to trust anybody because I mean they could stab you in the back or just anything. How can you possibly trust anybody 100%? Okay, so watch out for the sneaky spy gadget. The moment they start stalling for time, just shoot them. Okay. So if you found Jackie Chan, Chris Tucker, and so on, yeah, exactly. So if you've got one of them, the other one is probably sneaking up behind you in some strange fashion, or is undermining you in some other way. So watch out for that one. I'm thinking the story needs to be written first person narrated by the evil overlord, complaining about no matter how good they do their evil, the darn production. Yes, no matter what I do, the good guy always finds a way out of it. All that sort of stuff. So the victims of Vlad the Impaler didn't complain of their fault. Thank you for the follow there by Tim Kidd. So if you're going to be an evil overlord again, make sure that you don't allow the last request. Now, the other thing is, you can't be on top of everything. Okay, as an evil, this is a big difficulty being an evil overlord, because of course, you're ultimately the only one who really deserves to survive. At the end of the day, you're in charge. The evil power, whatever it is that you're trying to acquire or do. People are disposable to that end. So no sympathy, no empathy. You can't afford luxuries like that. Okay, but you probably do want. You can't be an expert in everything. Okay, probably. So you do need to employ people. Okay, and so at some point you're going to have to wrestle with the concept of trusted lieutenants, or evil henchmen or something like that. Now, these evil henchmen need to be chosen very, very carefully, because of course they're in a position of great responsibility and power, and they might be able to double cross you, so you need to choose that very, very carefully. On the flip side, though, you presumably, if you employed said evil henchmen or advisors or whatever they happen to be, because they have some expertise in a particular subject, i.e. maybe making the evil base, or they know how the ultimate weapon works, or whatever it is that their particular piece of expertise is, it's important to listen to their advice. So if your trusted lieutenants say, actually, sir, that might be a bad idea because of da-da-da-da-da, they're probably worth listening to. Not all the time, because you can't trust them all the time, but sometimes they're going to be right. So a classic in here is back to Star Wars, Grand Moff Tarkin. When the aide come up to him on the Death Star and says, "We have analysed their attacks, sir, and there is a danger." Okay, Grand Moff Tarkin should have gone, okay, so what's the risk here? I can watch the rebels be defeated from the safety of a nearby Star Destroyer, or I can stay on the Death Star and run the risk of this attack from here, in which case it's possible I will be killed, because So Grand Moff Tarkin's response should have been, what type of risk are we talking about here? is the only sensible answer to the question. There is a risk, sir. So his question should be, okay, well, what sort of risk? Are we talking 1 in 10, 1 in 100, 1 in a million? What are we talking? Rather than no. In our moment of triumph, evacuate. You must be mad. No. If your advisors are giving you information that's actually, there's a bit of a risk here, sir, listen to them. All right, listen to your trusted advisors. They may have some useful trinket of information that would be extremely useful for you to take note of at that particular point in the crisis. Okay. As an evil, and pay proper wages. Yeah. So actually, paying conditions for your guards should be excellent. Okay, they should be the best in the kingdom. Okay, everybody in the entire kingdom. Let's go back to a fantasy world or whatever. Everybody in the fantasy realm should be fighting to get a job for the evil overlord, because the paying conditions are the best. I work for the evil overlord. Yeah, he gives. There's free wine on Thursday afternoons. Free, swords are brilliant. All the best uniform in the business. Proper tailors. We've got a pension plan, generous benefits. Why would you want to work for the good guys? Because they've got nothing other than a bit of hope and a fireside chat, and those really, really irritating little creatures that always follow them around. They claim to have right on their side, but hey, we've got a pension plan. Your pay and benefits should be the best in the entire realm, because then nobody's going to have, why would I jeopardise my job? to help you guys out. I've got a pension. I've got a guaranteed income. Okay, so make your paying conditions really, really good. All right. As the evil overlord, people will want to work. People will be fighting to work for you because your paying conditions are much, much better than anything else. You don't want to live in the squally little village on the outskirts of town. You want to work for the evil emperor because he's death in service policy, exactly. No one lives to claim a pension, says Cleopas. Yeah, well, it doesn't have to be true. You're an evil overlord, man. Just all that sort of stuff. Don't come in late for work. You won't lose a bit of your head that's good. So, you can go down the terror as a motivator route. It does sort of work, but it doesn't generally work for very long. You're better off being you can be tyrannical with the power that you present, but look after your folk. Okay, don't be tyrannical to your staff, because that's how you're going to achieve your aims. Be tyrannical to the people you're trying to oppress, for sure, but don't be tyrannical to your guys. They're on your team. They're your buddies. They have right on the side, but we have a pension plan. Kill the chosen one. Now the chosen one is very, very important. You've got to deal with the chosen one. Okay. So if there's a prophecy, right? You need to be in with all the bards, and you need to be in with all the mystics and all the all those types, okay, in your kingdom, in your local area. So if there is a prophecy that evil power will be undone by the second son of a second son, then you need to be pretty thorough in exterminating all those possibilities. Now you've got to employ a bunch of people who can think outside the box here to get all the different versions of how that prophecy could possibly be interpreted. Don't just go for, all right, this is one interpretation of the prophecy that we've got to work out. That don't do that, because you've got to go through quite a few different, because prophecies are sneaky, aren't they? Prophecies are very, very sneaky. They very rarely mean exactly what you think they mean. So you need a bunch of people to work out with you what all the possible interpretations of the prophecy is, and figure out who the chosen one could be, and then just go back to rule one: kill them. Doesn't matter how cute they are, or if their life's been horrible up to now, and they're sweet and innocent. They're going to unseat you given the chance, because that's what the prophecy says. So make sure the prophecy doesn't come true. Identify them, figure out who they are, kill them. All right. That's the way to win. Yes, that's right. So the Wicked Witch of the West. Classic error. Okay, look after your people. Yeah. So, or or you could look at it the other way around. Okay, if there is going to be a chosen one, and the only reason the chosen one, you could play this the other way around. Okay, so this is where becoming an evil overlord it can be tricky. Okay, because maybe your best way is to embrace the danger and actually say, okay, well, if the chosen one is going to be my, some seventh son of a seventh son whose father was murdered because of something I did, and he bears great bitterness towards me. Maybe you should sort of seek him out and go, actually, I'm genuinely sorry for your life. How can I make it better for you? Just embrace the danger, okay, and turn him to your side. Maybe that's another way of doing it. or just wipe out the prophets. Yes, stop the prophecies of the Drac. Anybody who prophesies will be destroyed as well. So there's another way of dealing with that particular problem. So that's quite good. And okay, so that's quite good. The flip side, of course, the flip side of tell me the plan. Don't be tempted as a bad guy. Once you've got the good guy in your grasp, don't be tempted with a, before I dispatch you, there's one thing I need to know. Because you're procrastinating yourself out of victory at that point, okay? Just shoot them. Okay, that is definitely the number one thing, is if you have the good guy in your grasp, zap them. Okay, very, very important. Very, very important. Yes, pretend to be better and go to count. So so be cunning. Okay, get alongside the good guy, figure out his plans, and figure out his weakness, and then kill him, if necessary. That's right. Yeah. So letting the kids survive never ever works. Okay, because they grow up into be an adult, and then they'll just come after you. Okay, so don't do that. Don't do that. That's very bad. And in fact, it's probably better. Observing the behaviour of generally evil overlords in place is not to have any children. Okay, because if they're sons, they will either come back and usurp your crown or take over your job. So that's not good. Or they'll try and convert you to good at some point in your thing and completely cock up your evil plans as well. So having a son's not a really, really good idea. Having a daughter is probably not a good idea either, because she'll be as beautiful as she is evil, and she'll come, she'll be just as evil as you are, and then just be attractive as well. So that's not going to work. So don't have a son. It's probably best not to have any relations, okay, as an evil overlord, because they're you're going to be tempted into dealing differently with your family. You need to be very emotionless as an evil overlord, I think. Don't sleep around. Your kids might go. Well, that's exactly right. So just be careful. You've got to be focused on your evil plot. That's what you're trying to achieve. Don't get sidetracked by romantic liaisons and family woes and and another one. Okay, another one. If you are convinced you're the evil overlord in charge of stuff, don't give the good guys clues. It's like, I know what will be fun here is what I'm going to do is I'm going to toy with the good guys. I'm going to lead them over there. Then I'll give them a clue that leads them through the gate, and then maybe I'll put something in their path that guides them. Don't do any of that. Okay, just win. Okay, be bad. Okay, just kill the good guys. Don't toy with them. None of that business. All right. Very, very bad. Very, very bad effect. Always wonder why Darth Vader didn't go to visit his stepbrother Lars on Tatooine later on to make sure there were no usurpers. Yes, didn't really make it. So I tell you what, I'm as a famous Jedi, I'm going to hide on Anakin's home planet with the baby. In fact, I'm going to give the baby to his father's uncle. That's a safe place to keep him. What? Most films wouldn't last. But now this is the challenge, Mad Monk. This is the challenge: is can we write a bad guy who's actually convincing and doesn't make all of these mistakes? So that's important. The other cunning thing is don't have a digital countdown device. Okay, for your we've already talked about the danger of self-destruct mechanisms. Don't have a digital countdown device. All right. Because digital countdown devices always seem to have a flaw. That if you cut the red wire or the blue wire or the green wire, one of the wires that connects to the countdown device, it always stops a few seconds before it goes off. Okay, so don't employ a digital countdown device. What you want is a nice heavy-duty mechanical device that can't be tampered with. Okay. So digital devices, no, because the good guy will always somehow, using magic and plot armor, figure out the password for the digital device or some mechanism for confounding said digital device. Digital devices are no use at all. Don't have them in your building. Okay, as part of your infrastructure, try and avoid electronic stuff as much as possible. Very, very important, because electronic stuff is easy to subvert if you're a good person. It's just they just have magic. Okay, against. Doesn't matter what passwords you use, what security protocols, what operating system you use, the good guys will be able to circumvent it just in the nick of time. Okay. Make doomsday devices once. Yes, it should have no wires. Okay, but then the good guys will probably be able to hack it using Wi-Fi or something stupid like that. So electronic devices are probably still a bad idea. Now there is, and Glenn has already said it in the chat. There's a way around this. Okay, as an evil guy, bad guy, is don't set your digital countdown device to go off at 000. All right. Set your digital countdown device to go off at about, 4 minutes and 23 seconds, okay? So when the countdown timer hits 4:23, that's when it actually goes boom. Now, you know this, But hopefully the good guys don't, right? So just as they're putting their plan into action, kaboom! Now that's evil, all right? So that's the way to get around that particular. If you really must have a digital countdown device in your evil lair, don't set it to golf at 000. Okay, it's the dead giveaway. It tells the goodies exactly how much plot time they have. All right, that's not evil enough. But wouldn't 423? Well, I mean, maybe you could have countdown timer of the day on a rotating schedule or something, a bit like a Wi-Fi password. That would be quite good. So that's quite good. Now, the other thing is technology, and we've sort of touched upon it there. Okay, technology is extremely dangerous because no matter, as an evil overlord type person, technology is extremely dangerous because it can always be subverted by the good guys. All right, so you can, if you've got if all of your guards have laser guns or something like that, then they can be they can be jammed or they can be depowered by goody zap rays or something like that. So I think a good piece of advice would be to make sure all of your evil minions, whoever they are trained in just general hand-to-hand fighting and normal percussive weapons like sticks and swords and things that can't really be broken and can't be jammed. Okay, so don't rely on high-tech weaponry. Okay, make sure all your minions are trained in low-tech weaponry and know how to use it. Because otherwise the good guys will come up with some amazing force field thing that will defy your high-tech weaponry. So and obviously teach them how to hit the target. So your guards need to go through proper. We've already discussed this. They need to go through proper evil minion training to deal with guarding things and what that means, and also how to fight. Okay, so yes. The other thing is, again, on the subject of not getting emotionally involved with people, okay, if there is somebody in the goody army or whoever they happen to be who you find particularly attractive for whatever reason, you've got to kill the relationship, okay? You've got to kill those emotions. There's probably somebody else somewhere equally attractive who doesn't want to kill you, all right? So don't fall for that. Oh, my heart is now singing for the person in the goodies, and maybe I should reconsider my evil ways. No. So you've got to stay true to the plan. It's very, very important. Ban all MacGuffins. That's very important. Yes. So if you're an evil bad guy, kill the scriptwriter. Now there's a meta plan. Yes, actually, I'm going to take on the narrator. Yeah, so common sense. So common sense is very, very good. Ban all the MacGuffins. So yeah, don't if there's some object lying about, get rid of it. Okay, sweep your evil fortress for odd devices. I've just received a parcel in the post that I wasn't expecting. Send it away or destroy it. Okay. You need to keep tabs on things like that. It's very, very important. And my governs. The last high-tech devices I used was the ceiling light. Yeah, so be careful. Be careful about things. Low tech is good tech, reliable because it can't be jammed. How would I rate your own villains, Drew? Well, okay, so certainly in my elite books, the villains do fall into some of these problems. So the trick is, I suppose, writing is to try and make if you are faced with a situation where you have to write goodies and baddies, which sometimes you do because it's the type of storytelling you're in, you've got to. The only advice I can really give you is make sure the bad guys have a reason for doing what they're doing. Okay, so nobody's realistically going, I'm just evil, I want to destroy things because that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So you've got to have a purpose behind it, whether they want to conquer something for the purposes of conquering, whether they're trying to bring peace to the universe by removing all dissent, or whether they're just trying to, in the case of, let's say, Elite Reclamation, I've got a villain in there who's a nasty piece of work. She wants immortality, and she doesn't care who she steps on to get her immortality. That's her motivation. So it's not the most rounded of things, but from her perspective, she sees I can't remember her name. It's so long ago. What's her name? Who's the bad guy? The bad lady in Elite Reclamation. Can't even remember my own book. Oh gosh. Somebody remind me what's in my own book. What's her name? I haven't read it for years. Anyway, whatever her name is, she's an evil bad lady who's trying to become immortal, and she and she doesn't care. Basically from her perspective, she she sees humanity as Octavia Quinton. There we go, Octavia Quinton. Thank you very much. Come on, there we go, brilliant. Thanks, guys. I can't remember. I've forgotten that. Octavia Quinton. Yeah. Anyway, so she's trying to become immortal, and she basically looks at humanity as expendable. So people die every day. What's a few more deaths when I am trying to be immortal? Because I can provide for the area that I control much better if I stay alive. That's her philosophy. And Servalan's quite a good bad person in that sort of sense. She has a reason for what she's trying to do, and she's got a bit of style to go with it. So that to me is quite a good evil kind of villain. So most decent villains don't consider themselves necessarily to be the bad person. They just have a really, really strong sense of a plan and something that they want to accomplish, and people are expendable in pursuit of that plan. I think that's quite a good definition of good evil, if that makes sense. So that's quite good. The other thing is actually clothing. Okay, it's very easy to spot the bad guys. Generally, is that they all dress in dark stuff. Okay, they're always in a dark cloak, or dark uniform, or generally have makeup or hairdos or headgear that kind of basically gives away that they're the bad person. So here's a thing. If you're going to be an evil overlord, I suggest dressing in very bright, flamboyant, fluffy colours, and act a bit, oh yes, it's absolutely delightful, old chap, So don't dress in black. That's just a dead giveaway. Dress in pinks and violets and oranges and greens and things like that. That's going to be far, far better. Nobody's going to spot you. Nobody's going to think, oh, there's the evil guy. So yeah, that's the way to get around that particular problem. Emperor Ming, for goodness sakes. What was he thinking? It's like, I'm going to. He's the actual. He's the epitome, really, of it as a baddie. Both, I'm going to be heavily made up. I'm going to have pointy red and black overalls. I'm going to strut around, maniacally laughing. That's another thing you shouldn't do. Okay, so, yeah. Well, bright colours like the Joker. Now, see, that's quite good. Is the Joker bad? Yeah, see, I've got that. That's right, Luke Skywalker. Do women make better villains? I don't know. Villains are all about. I think better villains are people we can kind of relate to. We think, actually, I can see that they've got a point. That's why I quite like Thanos, because you kind of, half of you in your head's kind of, you're a little bit conflicted with Thanos because you're kind of thinking, actually, he's got a point. And then you go, oh no, he's a bad guy. I can't think like that. Or and quite often when I'm watching Bond villains and things like that, or anywhere where the evil is slightly better developed and has a reason to think, halfway through the movie I'm going, yeah, you go for it, go on, carry out your plan and defeat the good guys because I want to see you win. So I think good villains are well developed villains with a backstory you can kind of believe in, and you can kind of see their point of view. You think, actually, I could be convinced to work with you on your side. Yeah, that's a really good villain. If you can write a villain where you think, actually, yeah, you got a point. I could be persuaded to be on your side. I think that's an excellent villain. That's my kind of hallmark for a really good villain, is somebody I can go, yeah, I think he's got a point. Dulk. See, now that's interesting. You call Dulk a villain, because is he a villain? And that I think is possibly, if I summarise this very slightly, we could probably go on a little bit more on this one. So I might do some more evil bad in this next week, because it's quite fun. Is Dulk in Reclamation is not supposed to be a bad guy. He's not supposed to be a villain. He is In fact, to be honest, most of my books I don't really write villains. Lords of Midnight is an exception because it's based on some other work. But basically, Elite Reclamation and the Shadewood series, there may be people in there who you consider to be doing bad things, but what I was trying to do from all of the perspective of the characters is I'm doing what I think is best, either for me because I'm selfish, or for my community or my area of expertise or my locale, because that's what I think is the correct thing to do, and damn the consequences for anybody else, because it's a cutthroat universe kind of thing. So in Elite Reclamation, Dolk is not really a villain. He certainly, at least in my head, he's not a villain. He's somebody who's just trying to get things done. And even Salome stroke Kahina, is she the protagonist of the story, because she's actually pretty nasty at times. She kills people. She killed one of the people at the end of the story with no trial. She took matters into her own hands and said, "I've decided that you're going to die," and you're dead. So is she a good person? Not really. No, she's actually quite a nasty piece of work. So none of the characters in Elite Reclamation I was trying to avoid goodies and baddies, really, in the sense that I was just trying to write people who were all at odds with each other and were equally nasty pieces of work potentially. So I don't know, did I succeed? You have to tell me. So that's the thing. And in Shadewood, and for those of you who've read my Shadewood stuff, is there a goodie and a baddie in that story at all? Because everybody thinks they're right up until really the last minute, when it all turns into lots and lots of conflict, as you would expect. To me, to quote Obi-Wan Kenobi, or is it Anakin Skywalker? I can't remember. Evil is a point of view. And good and bad depends on your perspective. So I was trying to write stories where actually you as the reader can decide who's right and who's wrong in a particular scenario, and then you can form your concepts of good. I'm not trying to basically say, I'm not trying to telegraph, here's the bad guy, and these guys are good. What about the head priestess? Is she the bad? Well, she is, I suppose, ultimately the sense that she's the one that needs to be defeated, but she becomes that because of other reasons. She sees herself as her objective is to become a unifying force to bring peace, but unfortunately she's corrupted by that process. So it's another classic thing of don't allow too much power to go to your head. Be satisfied with a certain level of evilness. So I've always tried to nuance the characters a bit. And try and make it so that because in real life nobody thinks they're the bad guy. We can look at this in terms of politics and in choices. We've seen this a lot with voting recently in all the different countries. People claiming that they're right and other people claiming they're right, and therefore those other people must be wrong, or those other people must be wrong, and things becoming very, very polarized. And then people accusing, well, they're the bad guys, we're the good guys, and then exactly the same thing happens in the opposite direction. Nobody ever thinks they're the bad guy, and if you can capture that, I think, in your storytelling, that nobody actually thinks they're the bad guy, and it's up to a neutral observer, either reading the book or watching the event in real life, to decide actually who is good and who is bad in that scenario. And that may be changed by the filters of history, on the lens at which you're looking through, and your own personal experiences of things as well. All that sort of stuff I think is important, depending on what you're trying to do. Now, if you're writing kind of more classic fantasy, now take Lords of Midnight, okay, which is a bit of a pastiche of Lord of the Rings. There's an evil bad guy who wants to dominate and destroy the earth, and I've got a bunch of plucky protagonists who are trying to stop him. That very much does have more cliched kind of good and bad. The evil guy just wants to subjugate everybody because, and he's not that much more developed than that. But that kind of worked for Tolkien in Lord of the Rings. I know there is backstory to Sauron, but if you just take Lord of the Rings on its own as a book, Sauron is the evil Dark Lord. He's the evil Dark Lord because he's the evil Dark Lord. and what does Sauron actually want to achieve? He wants to destroy the race of men and elves. Why does he want to do that? Because he hates them. Okay. And the Michelin Web Nazi soldier sketch. Are we the bad guys? The grass is always meaner on the other side. So nobody thinks they're the bad guy. And I think if you can play in your head the part of your bad guy and rationalise their behaviour in your story, such that it actually makes logical sense, I think you're onto a good villain. Because the best villains are the ones you go, yeah, he's got a point. I could see myself working for him, or her, whatever it happens to be. Yes, I think they're right. I think that's a great view of life, because that actually is much more interesting. Palpatine simply wanted to bring order to the galaxy, and many thought he was the bad guy, but you have to admit he was instrumental in bringing peace to the galaxy for 20... Well, and that's it. I thought The Mandalorian, for those of you who haven't seen it, minor spoilers for The Mandalorian if you have seen it, but I thought The Mandalorian was quite interesting in the way that it portrayed the non-Republic and non-Imperial people around, the edges of the conflict, because they you could sort of see in the way it was written that they did not care who was in charge, as long as they could kind of get on with the day-to-day life of servicing spaceships and hunting banthas and all that sort of stuff, and just trying to make a living. And the New Republic, in many ways, didn't look all that much different to the rule of the Empire, from the perspective of people portrayed in The Mandalorian, which I thought actually was quite clever. Because you kind of have Star Wars starts off with the evilness of the Empire and Palpatine and Darth Vader and the great heroes in Luke and Leia and Han. They're obviously good and the other guys are bad. So when the good guys win, yay! Whereas in The Mandalorian, it's much more nuanced. It's like, okay, well the good guys have won, but the universe is still a mess and nothing works and everything's broken down and there's lawlessness and chaos and stuff. And actually, maybe it was better when the Empire was here, because at least things were under control. All that sort of stuff. So. Jar Jar Binks. Enough said about Jar Jar Binks. One character in Lord of the Rings that is most interesting is Saruman, who decides better to join. See, Saruman's quite interesting because he basically kind of looks at it and goes, "There's no way the men and the elves are going to win this, so I'm going to side with Sauron because he's the most powerful thing. He's got more armies, he's got more power. Of course, what he hasn't contended with is the power of the plot." So poor Saruman gets undone because there's all sorts of things he hasn't been able to consider which he didn't know about. So so you kind of feel a bit sorry for Saruman. I feel that he made the right call but got undone by the script. And there's lots of things, and actually Ella makes a good point about the rendezvous of Rammer aliens and things like that, or the Borg from Star Trek. They operate on a difficult ethical code. So the Borg aren't evil in the slightest. They're not evil. They're just trying to achieve an objective. Their objective is to assess the biological and technological distinctiveness of all the life forms in the galaxy and bring them all together to further. I don't know what they plan to do once they've done it all, but maybe just keep exploring stuff. And they're not letting emotions or individuality or anything like that get in the way. That's not actually evil. That's just having a purpose. Now, if it interferes with your way of life and purpose, then you may consider it evil or bad or things, and you may fight against it. But is it actually evil, or is it just different? So Saruman made a rational choice and lost. Poor old Saruman. The Borg are just goal-driven. They want to achieve something, and they basically are, single-minded in pursuit of that goal. They're not. As far as they're concerned, morals are irrelevant. Political determination is irrelevant. Self-determination is irrelevant, etc. They're just they're not moral at all. They're amoral, exactly. So they're not evil. They're just trying to achieve something. Now, we may find that abhorrent, but they don't. And they don't care that we find it abhorrent. It just is. So, that's the beauty of things like the Borg, is that they make us wrestle with, but what about family, and what about life, and what about relations, and what about friendship? And the Borg just go, that's irrelevant. which I think is brilliant. Han was never a good. No, I suppose Han wasn't really a good guy. He's quite a good character because he just he's a bit of a cheat and a rascal, but he's the sort of kind of plucky hero type that we do actually like because he's more flawed than the other ones. Luke and Leia are a bit too good in the sense they do the right thing, whereas Han's kind of looking, can I make some money out of this? But everyone saw Han as good because he kind of came good, didn't he, every so often. But yeah, so he's not a good guy because he was a liar and a cheat and a swindler, wasn't he? But he was a charming rogue, so that's where that kind of goes wrong. A scruffy nerve herder, that's it. Dear. The other thing that's very important, I think, just finally, and we'll do some more evil overlording next week, I think, because it's quite a good topic. Is don't wear a cloak, okay? Cloaks never help. They either catch on fire or they get snagged on things. At least if you're going to wear a cloak, have one with a kind of safety quick release device. So if it does get snagged in some complicated gear mechanics, it's just going to pop off without strangling you or pulling you into said machinery to die a horrible death. Okay, no capes are bad. Okay. I mean, they did it in the The Incredibles, wasn't it? Yeah, don't wear capes. They get sucked into air intakes, jet engines, all that sort of stuff. Okay, so no capes. Okay, no dark clothing because that's a dead giveaway. Yes, and that's right. So cloaks, give a nice visual impression, but they're very, very impractical. All right, cloaks. So Doctor Strange's cloak. Yeah, so a big collar, Aragorn wore a cloak. Cloaks are okay for the good guys because they're not going to make a fool of themselves. You can't. But cloaks, for evil people are bad news because that's just a way to get killed. Okay. Okay. The other thing, actually, before I go, the one other thing that you mustn't do, all right, as an evil bad dude, okay, is, and this is a very, very common evil thing, all right, is if you have a trusted messenger to give you news of your domain or your realm or wherever it happens to be, or your spaceship or your universe, don't kill them when they give you bad news. I know you want to win some evil, dastardly points and get yourself up to the top echelons of evilness. Don't kill the messenger, because if he's a trusted messenger, he has a message that you should probably listen to. And just because the news is bad, and that's really important news for you to know about, all right? And what you want to do is encourage him to, actually, that's a really useful piece of advice. I'm very glad that you gave me this bad news, because now I can counter the goodies plan with some other plan, okay? What you mustn't do is, I don't want to hear this, and then slaughter them. He's your trusted messenger. You need trusted messengers. Trusted messengers are worth a lot, okay? So don't kill them. That's very, very, very bad. Very, very bad form, okay? Don't do the trusted messenger thing. So no venting your frustrations on stuff. If you have trusted advisors, they're called trusted advisors for a reason. And trusted messengers, okay? So if they say, actually, I think there may be a flaw in your plan, Great One, then what you shouldn't do is, what? I am invincible, because you've got about, if you say anything like, I am invincible, nothing possibly can go wrong, you've got about 5 minutes left to live, all right? Don't ever say those words, okay? If your trusted lieutenants are saying, there is a fault, sir, we've analysed their attack and we believe there's a risk, listen. Okay, and if your messenger says there are 5,000 men outside the front door trying to batter down the gates, and you go back with, no, the goodies could only have 1,000, what are you talking about, you stupid fool? You might be wrong. Right? So your trusted messengers and your trusted advisors are exactly that. Choose carefully when you assign them, of course. But remember the word trusted, okay? Listen to what they have to say. Very, very important. Before I go, did you put a lock nut on that servo brace? I have put a lock nut on my servo brace. Yes, I have. Thank you very much. Wait, you're not going to kill me. Why would I? Well, I told you. I'd appreciate that. Yeah, so you see, and then all your luckies are happy about working, and you want the bad news, okay? You don't want your staff to be so terrified they never give you bad news, because then the goody will easily be able to undo your evil plan. All right? And that was his downfall. Yep, Hitler ignored advice. Listen to military people who know what they're talking about. Okay, you can still be in charge. It doesn't mean you have to know everything about everything, because you can't possibly. You want experts. Okay, listen to your experts if you've employed experts. Very, very important. So your trusted advisors. Listen to your trusted advisors. That's a major plot point in the book I'm listening to. One side's a major advantage because the other side's ignored reports that said things they didn't want to hear. It's a classic. Yep. They ignored it when people started telling them that they wanted to hear, and then they were basically getting slaughtered. And that's the problem, you see. Hitler had shell shock from World War One. There we go. I don't know, actually. Come to think of it, none of the heroes in Star Wars were good guys. Luke slaughtered defenseless animals in his 216. Yeah, all the Womp Rats. How many Womp Rats died? Yeah. Lear engaged in espionage and insurrection against legitimate governments. And we've already talked about how Obi-Wan was an illegal alien hiding on Tatooine with an unhealthy fascination for young men. And Yoda never actually trained Luke in the Force, but just instead forced Luke to run around carrying him and do one-handed handstands. It's very, very true, yeah. And Lando Calrissian, I suppose, just basically blackmailed anybody he could to get whatever he could. Kelly Back, yes, boss, yes, trust me. You're completely insane. Yes, and that's the other thing maybe it's worth doing is on your team of trusted advisors, have a variety. Now, diversity in the workplace is a hot topic, of course. You do want to have lots and lots of different people in your trusted advisor inner circle, okay? So you want men and you want women and you want all sorts of diversity in gender and race and things like that, because you need those different perspectives on whether or not the plan is unfurling in the correct way. One of the people you should have on your team is a small child, okay, who can spot all the small child ways of defeating your evil plan, whether it's climbing through the vents or sending the plucky trained cute animal in, or anything else. So if maybe a 5-year-old child is a good thing to have on your team. You can basically ask any flaw that they can spot, you should immediately rectify. Okay. So bear that one in mind as well. That's all kind of good stuff. That's good stuff. Right. So I think at this point, having ripped the guts out of virtually every evil baddie movie or book that we've ever come across, we should call it a night there, and we'll do part 2 of the why are bad guys so dumb. Oh yeah, always never kill the jester. Yeah, that should be a no-brainer. Kill the jester. Okay. Not because it's instrumental, but they're just really annoying. Just killed. Just kill the jester. Very good. Yes, you need a batshit insane person to think far outside the box. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so make sure your circle of trusted advisors is sufficiently diverse. Yeah, there's a good reason for diversity in the workplace, and that's definitely one of them. Okay. Never let any musicians from a war-torn planet play at your wedding. No, that's quite musicians. Very suspicious. You should never kill the jester unless you want to be attacked by Mr. T. Yes, that's true. Will we do well-written villains at some point as well? Yes, I suppose we should. Yeah, I should present the case for well-written villains. Don't feed your dancing girls to the Rancor. No, none of that sort of showboating stuff. Just because you're the evil person, you don't need to show off. Don't be insecure in your evilness. If you're an evil overlord, just accept who you are. You don't need to show off. Okay, really important. Right, my friends. That's enough of that for tonight. Thank you very much for joining the stream. Back on Thursday for more Elite Dangerous Retribution stuff with Commander Sassia Bianchi, who's venturing off to Seoul in her quest to try and figure out what happened to her parents. So hopefully, obviously, you're there if you're of Elite Dangerous Persuasion. And then on Saturday, of course, more retro streaming with Frontier Elite 2. And now I've got my Imperial Courier, my proper Imperial Courier. So if you like 16-bit games from the days of yore, then do join me on Saturday afternoons as well. That's really, really good. Yeah, we'll be back with more evilness next week, which I think will be great fun. So until then, be good. Have a fantastic week, my friends. Be evil, you know. But be evil in a good way, okay? Be evil in a believable way. You know, if you're going to have plans, do them properly. You guys take absolute care of yourself. Lovely as always, a pleasure, and I will see you all soon. Be good and be evil, which is about the best evil maniacal laugh I can do. Actually, that's probably another thing. Don't do evil maniacal laughs. They never help. Yeah, it's all good stuff. Anyway, see you soon, my friends. Bye bye.